Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and remember, Context is Everything Media Network founder and CEO John Michael is reading another textbook. This is a American history textbook from the year 1940. That's before we entered World War II, and it's an American history textbook from a Catholic school. Chapter 11, Our Nation at Work. Harnessing of electricity. What is electricity? Nobody knows. This book's from 1940. I still don't know. The best we can say is that it is a natural force of energy. While we cannot tell exactly what it is, we have come to use it in thousands of different ways. Electricity is one of mankind's most useful servants. Samuel Morse used electricity to send messages with telegraph. Alexander Bell invented the telephone, by which we can talk with people in near and distant places. The telephone depends upon electricity. Thomas Edison showed us how to use electricity to light our homes and our streets. Many wonderful things electricity does are connected to the name Thomas A. Edison. Thomas Alva Edison. An ambitious boy, Thomas Alva Edison was born in Milan, Ohio, during the time of the Mexican War. He was a little lad with his family when his family moved to Michigan. Edison's boyhood was over when he was 12, for then he had to go to work. His first job was that of a train boy on a branch of the Grand Trunk Railway. A train boy has much free time on his hands. Young Thomas A. Edison used his spare time well. It gave him a chance to get an education by studying and reading. Edison read all the good books he could get. Then he put it to use the knowledge he gained from these books. Young Edison edited and printed a small newspaper, which he called the Grand Trunk Herald. A corner of the baggage car served as a printing shop and an editorial room. This little paper was bought by over 300 railroad men who worked on the Grand Trunk Railroad. Edison's first experiments. Edison was also interested in chemistry. He even set up a little laboratory in another part of the baggage car. One day, when Edison was experimenting in the car swayed and the chemicals fell on the floor. A stick of phosphorus, a chemical used in making matches, struck the floor and burst into flames. Soon the car took fire. The conductor was enraged when he saw what had happened. Edison, with all his precious equipment, was thrown off the train at the next station. Edison as a telegraph operator. A brave act of Edison's gave him the chance he needed to get on in life. One day, when the train was at a station in Michigan, Edison saw the station's master's little boy playing on the tracks. The little fellow did not see the train approaching. It was almost upon him when Edison leaped to the track just in time to snatch the child from certain death. The boy's father was so grateful that he could not speak. He wanted to do something for Edison. He offered to teach him how to use the telegraph instrument. Edison accepted his offer. Edison learned telegraphy quickly and was a good operator by the time he was 16. Telegraphy is the sending and receiving of messages by telegraph. Thomas Edison was deeply interested in the telegraph instrument itself. He began to look for ways in which it might be improved, and after much study he invented the telegraph repeater. Another invention followed. Edison had an inventive mind, and he kept his mind working. Edison's laboratory. Edison sold one of his inventions for $40,000. This money made it possible for him to buy a laboratory. This laboratory grew in size and usefulness. Here Edison gathered around him skilled workmen and inventors who spent their time in making improvements on old devices or in inventing new ones. Edison's best-known invention is the phonograph and the electric light bulb. Among his other inventions were devices for driving streetcars and automobiles by the use of electricity. If you've made it this far, 5 minutes into this video, and you're interested or you like the way that I talk, please subscribe. My name is John Michael at the Context is Everything Media Network. Thank you. Edison's inventions. Electricity in modern life. Modern life depends greatly on electric motor. This book's from 1940. All kinds of machinery can be run by electric motors. Long trains of cars are pulled by giant electric motors. Small electric motors run sewing machines. The electric motor is a great benefit to us in everyday life. Hardly a day goes by but a new use is found for electricity. Without it, aeroplanes and motor cars could not turn on, or could not run, rather. Thus, our streets and homes would lose their brilliant lights. The telegraph and telephone and radio would stop. It would indeed be an inconvenient and an uncomfortable world to live in if we did not know how to use electricity. Alexander Graham Bell. The inventor of the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell took upon as the inventor of the telephone. Bell and Edison were born the same year, 1847. Bell, however, was not born in America, but Scotland, where he received an excellent education. Alexander, where Graham Bell also studied music. After the college course, he became a teacher. He did not teach ordinary boys and girls. He taught those who could not speak well. He helped his father, who was a speech teacher, to correct speech defects. He also taught those whose hearing was not good. Thus, Bell became interested in the human voice. Bell's telephone. Our voice consists of sounds made by vibrations in our vocal cords. Bell began to wonder whether those vibrations could be made to travel over a wire by the aid of electricity. He was on the right track, but there were many difficulties to overcome. One day, while experimenting, Bell burned himself. He called into the telephone, Mr. Watson, come here. I need you. In a moment, Watson rushed into the room. The telephone had sent its first message. I don't get it. The Centennial Exposition. Bell finished his telephone in time to show it in the Centennial Expedition in Philadelphia in 1876, centennial of the forming of the Union of the United States. This was 100th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. All sorts of articles were on display at the exposition, and visitors came by the thousands to see them. Learned men acted as judges, passing upon the value of the usefulness of different articles. Prizes were awarded. The telephone at the exposition. Bell's telephone had been placed at the exposition. It was the section given to the Department of Education. People hardly noticed the telephone. The judges who passed upon the different articles looked over Bell's telephone but did not seem to be much interested. Fortunately, there was a great visitor present who saved the day for Bell. The Emperor of Brazil, Dom Pedro, had met Professor Bell in Boston. Bell asked him to try the telephone, and he did. The Emperor's astonishment was great. "It talks!" he exclaimed. Then the telephone was given some of the attention it deserved. The first people who were slow to appreciate the value of the telephone. As time went on, its importance began to be much realized. Today, we depend upon the telephone so much to get along so much in business and in social life that we think we could hardly get along without telephone service. William Marconi, the wireless. The telephone was a wonderful invention, but the wireless, or radio, was even more wonderful. The telephone transmits sounds by means of wires. The radio transmits sounds through the air. The radio is an invention by Italian William Marconi. Marconi attended the University of Bologna in Italy. Here he learned that it might be possible to send signals through the air. He was only 16 when he began work on his plans for sending messages without wires. By the time Marconi was 21 years old, he had succeeded in sending messages through the air without wires to the point of 1 mile distance. Improvements were made which added to the usefulness of Marconi's invention. Soon it became possible to send messages for many thousands of miles through the air. The radio. American inventors have done many things to increase the usefulness of the wireless. The radio has been of great service and gives pleasure to millions of people. The people shown in the picture are enjoying a radio broadcast. That looks like people sitting in a theater with people on a theater stage. I don't quite understand what they're talking about, but this book's from 1940. Television. Inventors got the idea that it might be possible to send pictures by electrical signals in a manner similar to sending of messages. Years of experimentation have resulted in some measure of success. Today, inventors are laboring to perfect the practical manner of reproducing images. Then a person in a distant place may see or visualize a scene as it is happening. This science or art is called television. It means the seeing of things from far off. Television. Tele meaning far off, vision, sight. The time may not be far away when in our homes, by means of electrical equipment, we may be able to see scenes that are happening in distant places. Keep your mind and eyes open for developments in the field of television. This book's from 1940, and I say yes. Please subscribe if you've made it this far. God bless. Have a good day.